Welcome to Food Friends, a podcast inspiring home cooks to try new dishes in the kitchen by sharing trusted recipes, tips, and friendship. Hi, I'm Sonia.
And I'm Carrie. We met in Los Angeles over 15 years ago as personal chefs and haven't stopped talking about food since. We're so glad you're here. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Carrie.
Sonia, what was your best bite this week?
Carrie, my best bite is something that we just recently released on our Substack. And I have kind of been making it on repeat ever since I first sort of wrote the recipe. And it's a strawberry, kale, almond, and date salad. And I have to say, I am not typically a strawberry salad person.
Yeah, I'm not really a strawberry salad person either, although there was a strawberry salad I used to eat when I was a kid that was poppy seed dressing
With the
and
spinach,
spinach. Yeah,
yeah.
and there's something sort of comforting about that, but strawberries are not a go-to for me for putting into a salad.
Because usually also I love strawberries so much. I want them either on their own or with something sweet or with yogurt. I just never think of them with greens. But when strawberries are first coming out in the year here in the Northwest, they tend to be actually quite watery and a little not so flavorful. I mean, it's just reality, but everyone's so excited to use them. And my friend Emily Park did strawberry snap pea turnip salad with a miso maple dressing.
Oh, wow.
And the strawberries were so beautiful, and the snap peas were so beautiful. The green and the red was so enticing. And then because they were early strawberries, they weren't the sweetest ever, but in a way that worked really well in a salad because it didn't sort of overwhelm it with a sweet flavor. So I kept thinking about the salad afterwards. I was like, oh, that's such a beautiful salad. And I got this box of dates from a company called Julie's, which is an organic date company, because we don't have dates at our farmers markets here,
Right. Right.
so
Like
it's,
we do.
yeah. And I was like, I want to use these really good dates. I love this idea of strawberries in a salad. And I also have been wanting to make more kale salads because they hold up so well in the fridge. So, anyway, it's a pretty simple salad. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's kale, which you massage with lemon and salt and just for a few seconds. And that helps soften the kale so it's not so tough. And then I added chopped almonds, which you could toast yourself or buy toasted or even use raw, some sliced strawberries, and some chopped dates. And then I made a very simple dressing and the kind of dressing I use on a lot of salads, but I wanted it to be slightly tangier because of the strawberry element, because of the dates. So the dressing has whole grain Dijon, maple syrup, sherry vinegar, which I really like, but you could use red wine vinegar, and olive oil, salt, pepper. It's very simple because you don't want to distract from all these other really lovely flavors. And also, oh, important, I topped it with goat cheese because I was like, I
Oh,
want this to
wow.
feel like a more of a substantial salad.
Yeah.
I think you could do cube chicken. Goat cheese was lovely. I think you could do feta, but goat cheese and strawberry also pair really nicely. That sort of tanginess, that sort of grassiness of the goat cheese with that floral fruitiness of a strawberry. And I made it, and I really didn't think my husband Jonathan would like it because he does not like fruit and salad.
There's a lot
Always,
of food
he's
rules.
a lot of food rules, and one of them is I don't like fruit and salad. And he loved it so much that there were leftovers in our fridge that I later ate. And he was like, where's the leftover salad? I wanted it. So I really feel like it was a winner. The recipe is on our Substack, so you can get it there. My cat is making an appearance in our show today. Hi, Martha.
I have to say, I am very much on Jonathan's team in this. I don't really like fruit in my salad situation. To your point about strawberries, because you used to live in Los Angeles, it's a little different for us. You guys have a shorter strawberry season. We already have really, really sweet strawberries here. And so I don't know that I would think about putting them in a salad, but I definitely remember when I was younger, growing up in the Midwest, and you would see the first strawberries hit the grocery stores and everyone would get them. And then you'd be so disappointed because they were not sweet. And this idea of using a not as sweet strawberry in a salad, also with so many genius tips like to massage your kale so it's a little bit softer. But also, because you're using kale, it can sit a lot longer and it can sit in your fridge for a day or two. And so it's a great meal prep option. And adding some toasted nuts and a creamy cheese and this really delicious dressing, I think I really want to make this salad because I'm also always looking for something that I can make ahead and have on hand in my fridge so that when I'm busy or just on the go, there's something healthy and also really satisfying to eat.
So I do think if you want optimal freshness, you should keep the strawberries separate because they can get a little soggy. But the rest of the salad you could make and have in your fridge, even with the goat cheese. Even if the almonds soften a little, it's still good. So I just think the basic tips of a kale that's massaged and dressed in a simple vinaigrette is such a great meal prep friendly thing to have around.
I think everyone is essentially looking for some kind of kale salad that you're excited to eat in your fridge. And this sounds like a one that I would be excited to eat for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Carrie, what was your best bite of the week?
Sonia, this is going to be surprising to you, but my best bite was also a salad, and it's the chicken salad that we just released also on our Substack. It's a very basic chicken salad, chicken and mayonnaise, and a little bit of celery and a little bit of fennel. And I made a big batch of this and stuck it in our fridge. I also had some greens left over. And so for lunch one day, I was starving and I was like, oh, this is great. I have this chicken salad. So I took a couple of scoops and I put them each in a little butter lettuce leaf, almost like a chicken lettuce wrap. And I really had you in my mind because I was also like, this is really great and this will be light. But I also wanted something a little bit decadent. And so I pulled out a bag of chips, a Ruffles kind of chip. But the bag was kind of on its last leg. It was like just the crumbs at the bottom of the bag. And so I was really disappointed. And so what I ended up doing was I took the chips and I put them on top of the chicken salad in the lettuce cups. It was my best bite of the week.
I think that you also undersell your chicken salad and you call it basic, but I don't think it's basic. For one, you add fennel to your salad, which I don't think is an everyday chicken salad ingredient. And I think, like any good recipe, it's about the ratios, the level of creaminess. I like that there's no sweet element in your chicken salad. It's really savory. It's a really great balanced recipe. And then I think what you also show us is the ways you can use it beyond just stuffing it into a sandwich, or you can really make a spread of whether it's lettuce cups, whether it's on a slider bun, whether it's in a pita, whether it's with crackers. It reminds me that having a great chicken salad in my fridge is, again, really wonderful for meal prep, really wonderful for a last minute lunch.
Well, first of all, thank you. That's such a generous review of my chicken salad. And I agree. I don't think fennel is a normal ingredient that most people put into it, but it does add a nice dimension of flavor. And adding this crunchy, salty element, it was a lot less chips than I probably would have eaten if there was a full bag of chips, but it really added this nice layer of flavor. It felt decadent and it got me through my day.
I love that. Well, Carrie, we also got a call on our kitchen hotline this week,
We did.
and I want to play it for us now.
Good friends, this is Diane Sorensen. I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois. I just recently found your podcast, and I have to say I feel like I died and went to heaven. I absolutely love what you guys are doing, and I've learned so much in just the few that I've been able to listen to. I love braising, and it's really how I taught myself how to cook meat well. And I especially would love your thoughts on picking two of my favorite recipes to make for entertaining: chicken marbella and also Melissa Clark's sweet spicy chicken from the New York Times. I would love to be able to do those braise style, because I know those two dishes you have to marinate and then you cook them off, and so everything gets a lot more concentrated in the oven, in the air. So anyways, I was wondering how to still make it flavorful.
Well, Diane, thank you so much for calling us, and thank you for that incredibly lovely review and that you're enjoying the show. It means so much to me and Carrie.
Sonia, I thought this was such a great question because both of these recipes are meant for entertaining, and also braising is meant for entertaining. And so the idea that you would take a recipe like this and you would convert it to a braise to make it easier on yourself when you're hosting people is really genius. But I'm not really sure that I have an idea of how to do it.
I think that's a really good point. And I think what's interesting is for some people, a braise feels really hard. And for some people, roasting in the oven feels really hard. And I don't have any opinion on what should be harder for whom. I think embracing how you like to cook is the most important part. So I love that Diane is saying, I really like braising. That's easy for me.
Yeah.
Whereas for someone else, that might not feel as easy. So, Diane, the good news is you can make either of these recipes a braise without adding any crazy ingredients, without doubling the flavor profile. You can actually just do this by adding a flavorful liquid. So let me get into the specifics. So for the chicken marbella, which I think I'm saying correctly, I'm sorry if it's also pronounced marbella, but the recipe from the New York Times is actually the one from the Silver Palette cookbook, which is a classic cookbook. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like the one pot chicken, potato, and prune dish that I told you
Yes.
about not
Yes.
long ago, because chicken marbella is chicken with prunes, although it also has olives, capers, some of the caper liquid, garlic, oregano. It's an incredible array of flavors. And what they want you to do is marinate that chicken overnight and then you cook it off in an oven. Well, if you want to do a braise, all you have to do is exactly the same ingredients and steps, except for instead of putting it into an oven, what you're going to do is take that chicken out of the marinade. And yes, you can marinate chicken that you're going to braise. I double checked that. I was like, oh, would it be too soggy? No, it's not. It does work. You take that chicken out of the marinade, you scrape off any excess, and you brown your chicken in your braising dish, whether that's a Dutch oven or a deep dish that you can put a lid on. You want something you can cover. You brown your chicken on both sides, then you add all the other ingredients they tell you to add. And the only thing you need to add to this recipe to make it a braise is liquid, which actually might give it even more flavor. And so for the liquid, you could add chicken stock, veggie stock. You could add a little bit of white wine if you wanted in there. And for this recipe, I would recommend 1 cup and 3/4 cups of liquid, up to 2 cups of liquid. You want that chicken just barely, not quite covered in liquid. And that's your rule of thumb. Put a lid on it, put it in your oven at 350 and cook it till it's tender.
Sonia, I think that your tip is honestly genius. And what it's also reminding me of is that I recently made coq au vin. I had never made it before, but to your point, you do marinate that chicken in wine and thyme and some garlic. And then after it's marinated, you shake off the liquid, you dry it, and then you cook your chicken in a pan and then you braise it by adding a little bit more liquid. And so you can marinate your chicken, you can make a braise, and then you can have that resting in your fridge for a couple of days if you're going to have a party and invite people over. And then your kitchen is already cleaned up.
And I think braising does reduce the amount of mess, exactly as you just said. It's so nice for making ahead. You don't have to worry about the timing of roasting and pulling it out of the oven because it can just kind of sit and stay warm for a while or just get reheated. And I want to take a closer look at the other recipe she asked about, which is sweet and spicy roast chicken, which, by the way, looks like a delicious recipe.
Oh, yes. I did write down what Melissa Clark talks about. And she says it's chili flecked, honey imbued marinade spiked with fresh citrus juice. It gives it the chicken its fiery, syrupy character. It's dinner party food and it's most flavorful and convenient. And I was like, yes, yes, and yes. Assemble up to 24 hours in advance and then pop it in the oven right before your guests arrive. I'm so glad to know about this recipe.
So, right. So, if that's easy for you to pop it in the oven, then you'll probably want to follow this recipe as written. But if you're looking for a way to turn this into a braise so you can make it ahead or so you don't have to worry about the timing of popping it in the oven, you can do exactly what we just said. What I love about this one too is that you can marinate for as little as 30 minutes. You don't have to marinate it overnight. And the marinade is just freshly squeezed orange juice, lemon juice, salt, mustard, olive oil, honey, bay leaf, crushed red pepper flakes. So really fun, not hard to find ingredients. And then the same thing is true, just like we talked about last time. Take your chicken out of the marinade, brown it on both sides. Then you add the rest of the ingredients, which is in her case, cut up carrots, onion, sliced dates, which I love, and some fresh thyme. And then you can add your liquid. I would probably do chicken stock for this, maybe with a little splash of wine. I would do 1.5 to 2 cups of liquid, cover your lid, put it into your oven at 350 and cook until done, which I would guess is roughly around an hour, but just test it out. And the only thing I will say about the dates is when you braise, dried fruit can disintegrate. So I might add the dates halfway into the cooking time instead of from the very beginning. But I think even if they disintegrate, they're going to add so much molassesy, delicious flavor to this dish that it's not the end of the world.
I want to add one additional tip to the end of our conversation, which is something that Melissa Clark also says, which is garnish at the last minute. And this is something I know you have often shared, but I also want to remind us of gremolata, which is also a really flavorful, finely chopped garlic, a little bit of lemon, some fresh herbs. It adds this pop of color and of fresh flavor onto a dish that's been cooking for a long time. It adds that extra zing that you might be looking for.
Right. That's a great point. The gremolata or an herb sauce of some kind that's fresh is a great way to brighten up a braise. So thank you, Diane, for calling us. We love hearing your questions and we love discovering new wonderful recipes. Both of these I'm definitely going to have to try.
Same. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to try them.
And if you have a cooking question, we do have a hotline. Give us a call, leave us a message. The number is in our show notes.
Thanks for being our food friend.
If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with friends. We love hearing from you, so follow us on Instagram or drop us a line at foodfriendspodcast.com.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you and your food friends. Happy cooking and eating.